Coming up tonight on YCN News, the identity of a drowning victim in Lake Sunapee is released. Stevens High School in Claremont examines keeping an open campus. And a house fire in Bradford, Vermont stresses fire safety for children. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN News, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth-Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening. It's Tuesday, June 23rd. I'm Kurt Weedy, and welcome to YCN News. The identity of a man who drowned in water off a private beach in Lake Sunapee on Friday has been released by police. New London Police Chief Edward Anderson said the New Hampshire Medical Examiner ruled the death of 74-year-old Robert Schaefer of New London as an accidental drowning. First responders were called to the scene by the property owners after the homeowners reported a car stuck in sand off Sunapee Park Road. Schaefer's body was then found floating in water about 10 feet from the beach shoreline. Anderson said in a news release that the case is considered closed. Well, more people than not spoke in support of keeping Stevens High School in downtown Claremont an open campus, including the high school's principal. From former school board members such as Heather Irish to Principal Patricia Berry, attendees at a forum yesterday night at Sugar River Valley Technical Center in Claremont told School Superintendent Dr. Middleton McGoodwin that students gain from being able to have their own space and their own time for privacy. The open campus, in practice for many years at Stevens High, allows students to grab a quick bite to eat at a nearby store or get some fresh air and teaches other skills. One parent called these soft skills, the ability for a student to get out of school for 20 to 30 minutes and manage his or her own time to get back to class on time. Speakers last night drew parallels to these life skills mastered in high school to that of any working adult who runs errands on a lunch break and gets back to the job ready to finish the workday. The Claremont School Board will consider information gathered from last night's meeting and vote at a later date on whether to keep or not the open campus concept. Well, a home in Bradford, Vermont needs $200,000 in repairs, and a state fire examiner says it's because 3 unsupervised children playing with matches accidentally set the home on fire. No one was hurt in the 2-alarm fire at 172 South Main Street in Bradford at the home belonging to Robert Nutting. Firefighters from New Hampshire and Vermont responded to the fire, who responded around 8 p.m. When they arrived, the back portion of the home was engulfed in flames and smoke. Now, this rear area of the house includes a 2-level garage and storage area, all of which are connected to the main body of the house. Today, during a cause and origin investigation, inspectors determined the small fire set in the garage and surrounding property by the children caused the fire. Investigators remind parents and caregivers to speak to children about the dangers and risks associated with fire. Well, gasoline prices are climbing at pumps throughout New Hampshire, but on a good note. The cost of gasoline now is still 89 cents a gallon less than a year ago. At the pump, prices between $2.68 and $2.71 a gallon are now the norm. Well, coming up on YCN News, a dispute out of Dartmouth College in Hanover, New Hampshire. We'll have that story for you when YCN News continues.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Kurt Weedy. Well, residents of Hanover, New Hampshire and the Upper Valley who have seen the popular 1978 movie Animal House may not know that it was partly inspired by a fraternity house here at Dartmouth College. But now that particular fraternity house is the cause of dispute on the campus between school officials and members of the Alpha Delta organization. The Valley News reports that the fraternity lost its school recognition in April after members were reported to have participated in hazing of new members, sexual assault, and other violations of school code. Dartmouth College is bringing back a policy which ended in 2011 that would prevent students from living in the buildings of unrecognized fraternity or sorority groups. Representatives from the Alpha Delta fraternity say they are still trying to figure out a plan for the frat and its reaction to the college's policy reinstatement. Well, over the past few weeks, we've brought you a handful of stories about solar farm projects causing disagreements over their proposed locations. Well, this one is similar, but has sparked a conversation in one New Hampshire town. Residents and officials of Enfield spoke against a new 372-panel solar farm being built in the town along Main Street. The farm will instead be moved to Canaan. A resident of Enfield himself, developer Philip Vermeer, plans to build and operate his farm behind Canaan Hardware by August, that according to the Valley News. Canaan has fewer zoning ordinances than Enfield, which would have needed to update its zoning regulations to accommodate solar energy projects. Vermeer's attempt in applying to build in a residential area on Main Street highlighted Enfield's needs to expand its zoning regulations. Now a conversation in the town has been sparked, focusing on updating the ordinances to welcome renewable energy projects. Well, in Brattleboro, the road to the closure of nuclear power plant Vermont Yankee continues. All meetings of the Nuclear Decommissioning Citizens Advisory Panel are open to the public, including this Thursday night from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Brattleboro Area Middle School. Thursday's meeting will focus on the dry cask containers that will contain the spent or used nuclear rods. Coming up next on YCN News, River Rally Chronicle host Elizabeth D'Orazio spoke with Mary Sullivan of Sugar River Bank about their loan services. We'll have that interview for you when YCN News continues.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Mike Pizzone. Well, it was a pretty wild day weather-wise with all those passing storms, but it looks like we're finally in the clear for the foreseeable future. Skies will become mostly clear this evening with temperatures falling to about 54 degrees, but it will still be pretty windy out there with gusts of up to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow looks to be the pick of the week as far as sun goes, with clear skies and highs in the mid-70s before bottoming out at around 56 tomorrow evening. And Thursday will bring mostly sunny skies with a high of 74 degrees during the day and partly cloudy skies with a low of 55 after sunset. Now let's take a look at our community calendar to see what's happening in the region. A blood drive for the American Red Cross will be held tomorrow from 11:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. at the Springfield Elks Club on Park Street in Springfield, Vermont. Donors must be at least 17 years old, in good health, and have 2 forms of identification. Visit redcrossblood.org to find out more. The Charlestown VFW Post Hall on Lovers Lane Road in Charlestown, New Hampshire will hold its weekly bingo night tomorrow beginning at 6:30 p.m. Food and soft drinks will be available, and the event is the primary fundraiser for scholarships and other community donations. The Abbott Library in Sunapee, New Hampshire will host a demonstration of its new 3D printer tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Come learn about the new technology credited for changing everything from the medical to space industries. Last week I got the chance to play a little golf up at Eastman Golf Links in Grantham, New Hampshire to shoot the first segment of a multi-part series highlighting the marquee holes of area golf courses. So let's take a look at Eastman's scenic par 4 17th hole. We're here in beautiful Eastman Golf Links in Grantham, New Hampshire, and I'm joined by PGA professional Mark Larrabee on the 17th hole here. And Mark, what makes this, on the scorecard it's labeled as your signature hole, so what makes this hole unique?
Well, you could use virtually anything off the tee. It's got some decent length to it. You know, it's over 400 yards. But you can use driver, you can use a fairway wood, a hybrid, you can hit a 5-iron off the tee. There's quite a few choices because where you're going to end up hitting that second shot from, of course, is the key to making some 4s and 5s.
Absolutely. So where does this hole rank as far as handicap and difficulty on the course?
Well, it's in the top 5. It's not the hardest hole in the course. We can make it the hardest hole in the course, you know, depending on where we hit that tee shot. But it's reasonably flat. And it does have a hazard out there. There's no out of bounds of any kind. And the approach into the green is entirely flat. And there's a bunker on each side.
Okay. Well, I've been known to make a lot of holes difficult. So let's give it a whirl here and see how it plays out.
Will do.
The grounds crew was just finishing up their morning mowing when we stepped to the tee, leaving us ideal conditions on the fairway and rough if need be. That pond on the right was a little intimidating just some 200 yards away, but Mark showed no fear with his hybrid and left his tee shot in perfect position in the middle of the fairway between the pond and the cart path. I chose to play things a little safer with a 6-iron that would leave me well short of the pond, and while I did execute the shot, it left me with a pretty terrifying second shot with nothing but water in front of me. Being the nice guy he is, Mark opted to play from my location to show me how it's done. I did my best to copy him, but not so much. From there, we tried our hands at chipping up onto the hole's thankfully large green, and we had similar results, with Mark leaving the ball about 8 feet short of the hole, and me rolling it past the flag a good 12 or so feet. We both putted from my location, and though I was pretty pleased to run my attempt just a couple inches long, I was quickly reminded what makes Mark a professional.
Get in. All right. Well, that was a lot of fun, Mark. Thanks for having us. We can definitely see why that is the signature hole on the course. So thanks a lot.
It does have a little of everything, doesn't it? And you handled it quite well. So let's get you back here so you can play the whole place soon.
Well, I appreciate it, and I'll definitely take you up on that offer. And for more information on this course and how to book a tee time, you can take a look at the website on the screen.
Be sure to tune in next week when we highlight the par 3 fourth hole at Newport Golf Club in Newport, New Hampshire. That does it for YCN Sports. I'm Mike Pizzone.
All right, Mike. Well, we look forward to the next signature hole in the series that you're going to try out. Well, coming up next, Capital Connections host John O'Connor sat down with Colonel Clint Granger, whose stories about his experience in the Vietnam conflict were so interesting that we brought him back for a second interview. We'll have part 2 of that conversation when YCN News continues.
The YCN News continues in a moment.